Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Cult for episode 209 of On the Backs of Gods. I'm your DM, Jillian. We have our players here today. Same as always. We have Kyle, Matt, Katie, Josh, and Greg. I'll go ahead and do a hopefully quick recap, as I did a really big recap last time, so I'll maybe be more brief. And then we'll jump into things. But before we get into our recap, it's not like to me, today's anything special, but I thought of this casually, so I'm going to put it in the game because I think it's funny. I was at an event where people trade baubles, and one of the baubles I received was a D20. I said, "How fun, how cool." I rolled it on the table for the first time. It was a nat one. I said, "Oh, that's silly. I should have rolled it in a tray." I rolled it in the tray. Nat one. So each of you now officially get to tell me before I make a roll that I have to use that dice. So that is a boon I give to you. Does not mean that dice will roll a one, but you have to catch me before I roll and be like, I want you to use the bad dice. And
But it
and I
probably will.
it might so far 2 out of 2 times nat one. And I put it on a shelf so I could keep an eye on it. So now each of you have one usage of Jillian rolls the bad dice, which maybe just was nervous, but you each now
Watch
have
it
that.
do a nat 20 the first time
It
it
will.
comes out, you know?
It
Like,
might, but you never know. All I know is that currently it doesn't roll very good. So all of you have that. Enjoy. Our heroes went on a big, beautiful adventure together to kill a cultist, and maybe they died once or twice, and then they killed the cultist. But because um, life sometimes, she sometimes. Um, Instead of having to just kill this cultist, you also have to deal with choices you made involving the shadow, an entity that is attached to Roshan. You were able to remove a piece of the shadow so it could be its own entity. But because of choices made earlier, the entity was not interested in being polite anymore and was very intent on killing you because you betrayed and killed her. So it's, honestly fair. What are you going to do? Combat is had. Eventually, you are victorious. You had brought different friends and NPCs into this. There are many who fell, helping you protect the continent, but the continent was protected. And honestly, I think that's the gist of it. You saved the world. What is there to do besides, I guess, like, couple loose ends, get them figured out, live your lives? Um, do whatever you want to do. Currently, the party is split. Roshan, Fen, and Thick Biscuit, the horse, are over in Galender on the west, and everybody else is currently in Dem Woods, including just a gaggle of NPCs that are like, well, why not? All we have to do is ask Nyx, and we can go basically anywhere. So, really, we'll go to the middle of nowhere. This includes the ladies that helped you fight in this combat. Russ, who is Nyx's husband, and his newly reincarnated friend, who went from elf to halfling. Um, and Gunhild, the ex cultist, who, as on record, stated that she will find where you live, Keld, and she will kill your family. She is now currently like having conversations with your family, and thriving, I suppose. And you know what? That's where we are, and that's where we start. We're gonna zoom back over to Galunder. Roshan and Fen and Thick Biscuit have just been scried upon so that Nyx has eyes on a tree so that they can travel about. Is there anything Team Galunder is doing today before I open up this downtime?
Uh, Roshan would like to try and hand off Thick Biscuit to Fen, and he'll ask, "Can can you take care of Thick Biscuit?"
Yes, that's no problem. I can hand out Nona's letters too, at least some of them if you'd like.
Um, I was planning on going to uh, over to Hertha. Does Amma live with Hertha?
No, they do not live together.
Okay.
They live separately.
Uh, so Roshan would give the ones for Valder and Amma to Fen and say, I'm gonna go see Hertha right now, so good thing she had the forethought to send these.
Yeah, she had the forethought to tell me I'd be delivering them, but all right. Just message me when you're ready.
Ready for...
When you need me, whenever.
Oh, yeah. I think tomorrow I was just planning on being around town, but then the day after, perhaps going to the library. At least I can. That's about the only place I can go right now, alone. So, I mean, I could. Never mind. So if you want to go, I'll meet you the day after tomorrow.
Sounds good. Again, if you need help with anything, I've very little business in town, so just reach out.
Sounds good. Thanks for taking care of those letters and Thick Biscuit.
Not a problem.
And then,
And break.
I mean,
and you scatter.
we break. I guess at around noon, is Hertha at home? She's a busy chief, so I think Roshan would probably just head toward her home and hope.
You willing to wait?
At the door, or
Yes.
okay.
Just stagnant in the middle of town. I cannot approach.
I think he would wait for a couple minutes at her door, but then he got a long rest last night, so he's got spell slots, so he could reach out to her that way.
Sure. A few minutes passes. She does not seem to be home.
He'll say, made it back to town with Fen. Not Nana. Could I meet you to debrief you at some point?
You feel that your message lands, but you don't get a response. And about 15 minutes pass, and you see Hertha making her way towards her home.
Hello, Chief?
Is she good? You said Nana wasn't here?
She's alive. She's probably okay. She's not in any danger.
What?
It's a long story. She made a deal with a hag, and I don't think she can come home. But we didn't know that until we were ready to come home. I've got a lot to tell you. Do you have time now?
Sure, I guess. She
Sorry,
will let you
Sissima.
in. And,
Roshan will immediately cast an unseen servant to make tea, and we'll sit down, and I think Roshan just gives her the download on... I think he keeps it feels weirdly professional, like he keeps emotions out of it and is just going to give her what she needs to know as chief. Here's the status on Bosch. Dead and gone. For good riddance. There's also a hag out there who has at least that kind of hold over Nana. and a tenuous hold over me. And he'd probably give her details about the party and who he saw at the party and what that's all about, but
Mm-hmm.
give her all the things she needs to succeed as chief.
Is there any particular topic you are not discussing?
Um, I think he'd probably leave it till the end of the conversation. I think he'd probably go in order and not leave anything out, but would wait until the end to tell her that with one of the Shadow of Golveg's last breaths, she cursed Ave's family and was going to kill Nana, but I feel conflicted because I think I killed the last vestige of Golveg, who, I mean, if it's any consolation, said that she died the moment Ave was born. So I was hoping that I could speak with Amma and maybe she'd have a little more insight into that particular thought.
Would you do something for me, Roshan?
Of course.
I'd like to keep those details between us. So if you do go talk to Amma, you're welcome to ask about Ave and whatever happened before. I don't think I would prefer not to have to deal with the backlash currently of everything else.
I agree. I I don't think the town, well, especially the elders, are ready for the information. Um, Perhaps if we had any idea what any of it meant, but one of the things I was thinking about checking into was if there were any spiritual leaders, I don't know, that we could bring to Galunder who might be able to help.
Roshan,
But
she like puts a hand on yours. Golveg is alive in the hearts of the people. And I think we'll stick to that for now.
yeah, that's a good idea. Also, Rose is in Skull City working for Sindri, and um, oh, I guess I would have liked to, in the 15 minutes before she arrived, could I have checked the statue of Gulveg in town and see if it's all okay?
I mean, you can see that it is there and standing and does not seem
Okay.
damaged in any way.
And then he'd ask, has anybody from out of town been specifically interested in the statue? It sounded like Sindri wanted to send someone to dismantle it and its magics, which
Um,
I think would be a very bad idea.
the only person that stood out to me is a friend of yours who came through looking to talk.
Um, Probably not Dagwood. Alyona?
Dagwood's not coming to my fucking town. Yes, Alyona.
Oh, well, I hope she was polite.
Sure. She's helpful. And that's enough for me.
She's she's incredibly helpful, and I think Roshan withheld it until now, but he will say the reason we succeeded in the fight with Bosch was she gave us a second chance. Things did not go as planned the first time, and to suffice it, we all tasted bitter defeat. We felt we felt an afterlife, and then we were brought back. Another 24 hours to prepare, and then we did it.
Sure. You did it. I think that's all that matters. And that's what I'm going to focus on.
Good. That's we got what we wanted.
Good.
Um, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Um, I was going to check in with my aunt, but I'd love to spend some time with my mom and Erling tonight if you'll have me.
Sure. We'll we'll do dinner.
Perfect.
All
Uh,
right.
and I think Roshan does the awkward, like, reach for a handshake, but realizes this is a hug situation, uh, uh, and then eventually chooses hug.
She seems confused by the confusion and doesn't dwell on it too hard and will give you a hug back.
Nice to be home.
Mm,
I'll see you this evening.
of course. Uh, Roshan, you are able to leave. Um, Fen, you do not have to talk to each of these NPCs if you do not want to. We can easily say that you're just like, and I have a letter to deliver. You're welcome. But
Yeah,
if you want
Fennel
to, you
is
can.
delicately explained to each of them that Nana
Mm.
wishes she could be here, but cannot. She sends her regards in this missive. Wish you all the best. Let me know if you need anything. Goodbye.
And it scampers off. Sounds good. Fen, is there anything in particular you wanted to do in town, or are you waiting for people to start popping off?
Yeah, Fen doesn't have any real business to take care of in town. He's just gonna. He'll probably camp just outside of town with Thick Biscuit
Okay,
and wait for the time Roshan agreed to meet.
perfect. You head out and chill with Thick Biscuit. Uh, Roshan, let's go through everything you want to do in town. Just get it all
Um,
in there.
yeah, so next up is to go chat with Frigga, his aunt.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to give her like the highlight reels, the most
Mm-hmm.
exciting, fun stuff that we did, and not the scary, sad stuff. Um,
Mm.
and we'll tell her that he's planning on, um, he wants to take some time and see if he can stop whatever ails Frona. Um, and that he'd like to spend some time helping her with the bar or the inn now that he's back in town.
You're immediately handed a rag. The second you offer help, she's very excited to see you, very excited to hear about your adventures. I'm assuming you tell her that Rose is like alive and definitely good, and she's like, awesome, amazing.
Yep. Um,
Uh,
sounded like she was interested in uh, maybe coming to town. Who knows if that'll become reality. Um,
I'll just answer a question I saw in chat. I was going to type. That's stupid. Valder would 100% not be in Galunder.
yeah, yeah. I put in the notes that letter went to the post.
Yeah, that letter went and will be sent. So all good on that one.
And then before heading back to Hertha's for the evening to see his mom and Erling, he did want to stop by Amma's and see if she's available to chat.
Sure, you head over to Amma's house. Amma is an older woman, seems to be in her 60s. Has kind of like very light brown hair, some flecks of gray that have started like slowly building up over time. So it almost just gives like a sheen to her hair, the amount of grays. It's just more of like a smattering. Um, she has smile lines. She dresses well. Uh, she stands with like very straight back, but doesn't come across as stern in any way, but maybe a little proper. Um, Invites you in, talks about how Fen came by and that uh, she's sad that Nana wasn't able to make it this time, but will write a letter for her to send. And hopefully that can get to her. Just casual small talk, checking in on you. Talks about your hair and that it's a choice. And
I think Roshan would assure to her that he would hand deliver any note that she wanted to get to Nana, and also if she's interested in traveling, even if just for part of a day, that perhaps we could get her and Nana together somewhere. But then after pleasantries, I think Roshan would say, Amma, there's something that I wanted to ask about, um, and it's a very strange interaction that I had with um, the goddess Gulveg. Um, she was not. She had enmity against Ave and Ave's bloodline. Um, is there? Do you know any reason why she might?
uh, Amma seems incredibly shocked by that statement. Like that is not an assumption she probably ever made ever.
Yeah.
Um, um, I'm I'm not sure why the goddess would feel this way. Ave served her. Our family always served her. Our town was always worshiping. I did we do something
Well,
wrong or
I I I don't mean to cause you any consternation. Perhaps what I was seeing was no more than a shade and perhaps an ill-informed one. But she seemed to be ill at ease with the circumstances of Ave's birth. Um, was Ave blessed by Gulveg at birth, or was that after sometime?
oh the the Gothies received visions from Golveg herself and followed through with a ritual divine to them, and uh, Ave was born marked by Golveg, and the ritual assumed very successful.
Um, is there any record of the ritual or the Gothi's visions?
Um, well, I suppose you could go speak to the Gothies about it. Didn't want to. I um, it seems there is something on her mind, but she sort of like begins to trail off.
I think Roshan would be forward and just say, um, is there something else you wanted to say about this? Or were you ready to change to a politer topic?
Uh, roll me persuasion.
That's a 16 on the die, plus 16. So 32.
It was a whole ordeal. I, they burned offerings in Golveg's honor, and they painted runes on my body, and um, honestly, I didn't want to do that. But I just, I didn't want my son to be tied to this enormous responsibility, and I already knew that he would have to carry enough weight on his back because of his father being the chief, and I could only assume having to take over at some point, which he did, but to put more on him, to put the entirety of Golveg's worship on him, and Hemming was insistent, and the Gothies were insistent, and I, I, Roshan, I just wanted a son. I didn't need a messiah. Um, I, I guess my heart just wasn't in it. Um, did I did I do something wrong then?
I I don't think you did anything wrong, Amma, and it breaks my heart to hear that you weren't given a say, or it it feels like your words weren't given as much credence as Hemming and the Gothies about what was done to you, and that's not fair. Thank you for telling me.
Of course, and don't hold it against them either. Sometimes it's hard to advocate for oneself.
Um, ma'am, would you? I know this seems strange, but in my travels, I've learned how to look into the thoughts of others. And if you would like me to, I could peer into yours and see it with a fresh perspective to see if there's anything that might have been missed. But of course, I'll not pry any further if that's not something you're interested in.
Um, uh, I suppose you're welcome to, but I will warn you, It was childbirth. Wasn't an easy one either. But if you would like to observe that, and it was a long time ago, so I can't promise the most pristine memories.
At this point, it's unraveling a mystery, and um, anything helps. So I'm not worried about reliving a painful memory. It is just that I'm more worried about you having to relive that memory than myself.
Um, sure, I suppose.
All right. I think Roshan will grab her hand and cast Detect Thoughts and um, ask her, if you trust me, just relax and tell me what you remember about the, I would say the day, but uh, the event. Uh, and then Roshan will just gently hold her hand as she retells, and he peers into her mind.
One of the things I remember is the smell of smoke, hot coals, burning wood. Uh, and the room was very dark, lit by fire, and you can sort of see it in your mind's eye. Very faded, a grainy image made darker with time. You are not able to make out many details as you look through Amma's eyes. The Gothies were there, and you can see silhouettes of people, no details on them. And I was painted in gold in runes, and you can see her look down at her naked form, and she is covered in her memory, very indescript markings that do not resemble any runes you could name at this time. You think fully just based on her memory of it. Um, and you can see her swollen stomach, um, kind of blocking the view from, and there's just past that is immense shadow. Hemming was there, doing as he should, holding my hand. And you can see probably the clearest of all of the images is Hemming sitting next to her and holding her hand, and an attractive older man, looks a lot like Ave. Skin a bit darker, shoulders a bit broader, um, but holds her hand, and it looks like he's mouthing words at her, words of encouragement. And you can hear the sound of what seems to be like prayer chanting, but none of the words are clear. Um, I remember it hurt like a son of a bitch. And you can hear in your mind her screaming as she labors. And then I think I had been a bit tired of it before we even started, and I think once it was going, I was really done with it. Um, uh, I don't know how they expected me to pray or if they did at all. At one point, somebody I think tried to ask me if I would join them, and I think I said some unpleasant things that I did later apologize for. Um, and it is a lot of her words are now accented with the sound of her screaming. It seems to be like just a very important part of her birth was how how painful it was. It was just it was a long, awful birth. Um, and you can see her like struggling in the sounds of her breathing and like grabbing at Hemming and her own body and like the smearing of runes across her stomach as she eventually delivers Ave. And you can feel this moment of relief and then fear as they do not immediately hand Ave to her. That they seem to keep him for a few minutes and don't say anything to her at this time. And Hemming just seems to keep like soothing her, but like eyes focused on these like moving shadowy figures. And eventually a baby is placed against her chest, um, eerily similar to Erling, as babies are wont to be. And all of that confusion and pain and sorrow immediately fades away as she holds Ave in her arms, and you can see that he is already branded with these spots like vitiligo, that he is already touched by Golveg, and that's where the memory fades. Oh, was that helpful at all?
That was perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with me. It means a lot,
Of
Amma.
course.
Um, I hate to invite someone to a party that's not mine, but I was planning on going over to Hertha's to help make dinner for her and
Oh,
Erling
I'll be
and my
there.
mother. Okay. Would you like to walk there together, or would you?
Sure.
All right. And I think Roshan spends the rest of the night, um, like some kind, strangely adopted son, but with extra moms, and
A lot of moms in
it's
this scenario.
it's a blended family for sure.
Um,
And then
yeah.
uh, he would end the evening. I think he would set up the mansion inside of Egil's teleportation room, and
Mhm.
then he would leave the door open and say, "Tell the mist to come get him if anybody uses the circle."
Okay. Um, the dinner is nice enough. It is definitely multiple personalities in one space, so it is loud for the entirety. This does not seem to be something that does not happen often. This seems to be like a common occurrence that this setup is is happening for dinner or events and what have you. Um, your mother seems unwell. She seems at least aware enough, mostly when she is interacting with Erling. That seems where she is most cognizant, or at least where she is the most like verbal. Um, you hear her refer to Erling as Rose a couple times while you are there. She doesn't give too much consideration unless like spoken to or she needs something, mostly asking for things for the baby and somebody telling her the baby does not need that right now. And on some occasions relenting and going and getting that thing anyways. Um, but she just seems very frail and distant.
Well, that's sad.
Yep. And that's not even my fault. I didn't do this.
But it's something that Roshan wants to soothe during this downtime, so he'll get to the library soon.
Yep. And you go and set up for a night in the mansion. It is quiet. It is empty.
I that's I was thinking about the same thing because he has to go through the hookah lounge, downstairs into the quiet basement, down into the quiet office, and then into the quiet office side room, and then into the quiet mansion. And
Mm,
it's quiet.
it's quiet.
It's a lot of
Um,
soundproofing.
I'll go ahead and switch over to Team Dem Woods if there's anything you wanted to accomplish today. Unless we're just vibing.
Oh,
I think Kild has just one thing he wants to do is brag about the hot irons. Good
Mhm.
fight to
Battle
whoever he
prowess.
can when they get back.
Yeah.
Easy enough. And and of course the hot iron's like, I certainly was not I was there and I was doing my best kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, he does state that he did fall a couple times and was brought back to standing. But his father, now very loudly and proudly, is announcing to people that his son saved the world. So that's definitely word that spreads very quickly.
Perfect.
I love that. I love that.
Any other today activities before I open up the timeline to all of it?
I think all Nana is doing today is until dinner, she's helping around town, potentially with dinner preparations. Will maybe eventually just sort of like slink off to a corner to just look through her things and figure out what she's gonna be doing.
Sure.
Not at home.
You do some help. You start taking stock. Nix, anything in particular today?
Just making sure not everyone bothers Russ because he needs time and space.
You do your damnedest to give this man time and space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me go here. Okay. Yeah. The day passes. The night comes. And time opens up before you as we enter downtime. True downtime. I'd love to keep it like open, but I do think it is easier if I do sort of shift back over to Gulunder. And because I feel like that is probably the kicking point, like the first domino to fall is whatever they decide to do first or where they decide to go. So Roshan and Fen. I'm assuming mostly Roshan till Fen is able to get out of here with the team in Thick Biscuit and rejoin everyone. But how are we starting this downtime?
I think the first day Roshan is just around town being
Mhm.
the helpful prodigal son and um, doesn't really do much of substance other than help out and yeah. But the day after, then he'd like to go to that library.
Sure, you're heading. Are you informing the team? Are you guys like keeping in communication and being like, I'm heading to the library today. Do you need anything?
I think Roshan is going to tell Fen um, and would not check in with the Woods people. But Maybe
So
Fen thinks
Roshan's
you
doing
should.
a solo
Don't
library
worry.
trip.
I'll make you guys overlap. Don't you worry about it. Everybody wants to
got
go
it.
to the library.
You got it.
Yeah, you can. Fen, you are informed that Roshan would like to go to the library.
Yeah, the night before, Fen just camped for the first time in a while. It's been like that downtime is, the last time we had a big downtime after an arc like that is when he met Jenny. So like he's just gonna like spend all his spell slots for those couple of days or a day and a half or whatever, just casting Speak with Animals and like catching up one on one. Like Thick Biscuit can join the conversation if he wants, but then when Roshan says it's time to go, he'll join. And off to the library.
Okay. Um, Roshan uses a teleportation circle to yeet oneself to another teleportation circle, landing squarely at the library. Are you guys bringing Thick Biscuit? Is this Thick Biscuit going to be like tied up in the front like a saloon, or is Thick Biscuit vibing in Galunder? What's up with this horse?
I was assuming Thick Biscuit could vibe in Galunder since we're not going to need to make a one horse hasty exit from the library, hopefully.
Quick, you both jump on the horse.
Yeah, we'll put
Cheese it, it's
Thick
the
Biscuit
cops!
into the chief's stables.
Yeah, Thick Biscuit's gonna live it up for however long you guys decide Thick Biscuit gets to vibe in Galunder. Um, Roshan and Fen, you arrive at the Library of Snotra. Uh, this like beautiful, very intricate white stone building with words and runes carved like very small, like very intricate, tedious. There's also a stone relief of Snotra in one of the walls, kind of leaning back, holding a quill where these words seem to spew forth. You're presented once again with the rules of the library, which you have heard many times, is that you cannot use magic while you are in the library. You cannot cause damage. You can't be a dick, is basically the vibe. I will gladly go find the rules and read them to you again if you need them. But the vibe is no magic, no violence, no being a dick, no like harm to people or books is the setup. Um, but Roshan and Fen, you arrive at the library. Um, what are your topics of interest? I will say things are going to be a little bit different this time at the library. Last time I said, ooh, hey, if you roll low, that just means it takes longer to find things. In this scenario, with some of the topics I've been presented, you may not be able to find them for an extended period of time and then would have to roll again. So some things may be harder to find than others. Some's very easy, some a lot harder. But Roshan and Fen, what are your first topics? Or Fen is assisting Roshan. If somebody spends their time assisting, the other person will get advantage on their roll.
Roshan was not planning on starting off with the smoke. He was planning on looking up addiction recovery, specifically from Onset.
Fen, is there anything you'd like to look up during this time?
Yeah, Fen learned a lesson the last time he was at the library, and he's not gonna fuck around attempting to, you know, mess around with the Dewey Decimal System or shuffling through a card catalog. He's just gonna approach one of the actually very helpful people that works here, and I have a question, and I'm not sure if you can help. I wanted to do some reading about illnesses or afflictions involving smoke that might come from one's orifices, sort of an animating force. Um, I don't know where to start. I was hoping you could help.
I will certainly do my best.
I
Uh,
appreciate anything
can
you can
Roshan
offer.
pass by at that point and
Sure.
say, I think you should start with Gungnir.
All right. Do you have books about the Allfather's spear?
Oh, that one's easier. I can find that very quick for you.
Wonderful. And if
Gungnir
anything
and
comes,
Smoke.
and if anything
Just
comes to mind about the other topic, by all means, I'd happily divert my efforts in that direction if anything, you know, piques your
um,
memory.
of course, easy enough for Odin and his spear. So this librarian will start like poring over text to start finding things. Um, and Roshan, you are looking into recovery from addiction. Um, Go ahead, Roshan, and give me investigation.
33.
Okay. Um, you find a book by you know her, you love her, Zabatha Brighthope, who
Hey.
seems to often write about mental health, and and that just seems to be her jam.
Probably
Um,
saw the name in Nana's notes one time as she was like showing
oh,
him something else
Zabatha.
Mhm.
unrelated.
Um, but you find a book called Sobriety and Relapse: The Cycle: How Habit Helps and Hinders in the Cycle of Addiction. Uh, and because Jillian doesn't fuck around with real world issues, I am going to now read to you actual ways to help yourself avoid relapse and work with addiction in your life. That's not things I'm going to make up. That'd be weird. I can make up magic about it, but if you're just doing the straightforward stuff, it's we're just doing real world stuff. Um,
Don't come to us
so
for a guide on how to cast, dispel curse or
I
lesser
mean,
restoration.
I'll do it. But if you want like just actual details about like actual like mental health, I will be providing real world answers. So
Hashtag
the
not medical advice.
I mean, you're welcome to take it up with Google if you don't think it's good advice.
Or your medical
Um,
practitioner.
yeah, you talk to your doctor. Not everything that Google told me is good for you. Um, Lisa, who is listening right now, what's up? Tell me if I did a good job. um, so basically the overview of like things to keep yourself on the straight and narrow is increasing your self-awareness and investing in self-care and life balance, healthy eating, exercise, sleeping. um, you have to develop healthy relationships with others and yourself and find a support network for your recovery. You also need to work on your coping and communication skills. Um, a good thing to start with is addressing any existing physical or mental health problems you may have. You need to find a way to manage your cravings and learn relapse prevention skills. Main things that can cause relapse are interacting with people that you know sell substances or returning to places that you had used substances. Um, Another big thing is isolating and withdrawing from your support network, which can lead to relapse. And not reaching out to your recovery support network in times of distress. Um, Another thing that is discussed is the phrase HALT, HALT, which is hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. These seem to be big triggers for relapse. So if you are taking care of yourself in these ways and keeping yourself fed and keeping yourself entertained and sleeping, and not interacting with triggers that cause you stress, you have a less likelihood of relapse in those scenarios. There is also an acronym called SOBER that is supposed to be when you think you are going to relapse. These are the steps that you could consider taking. The first one is stop. So if you feel as if you are going to relapse, the best thing to do is to stop what you are doing and try to take yourself out of autopilot, so that you are more in control and can make choices instead of just being in that rhythm, in that cycle. The next is to observe and take in your surroundings, whether that is what is just around you or yourself, taking internal stock. There is breath, which is just taking the time to breathe and get control over one's body. Then there is expand, so which is to expand your awareness and get in touch with your your body and your mind and sort of fully focus inwards on that, sort of the expansion of the mind of the self, you know. And then there is respond, which is where you are now given a chance to make a mindful choice. And some situations don't call for a choice, but if there is a choice to be made, that is the time to make it. So it seems that taking care of oneself and having a good support network and not isolating and eating food and getting sleep, the classics, the old Zabatha classics.
Sick. Yeah, I think Roshan fully did not prepare to come to the library today, and he reads that you should have like access to healthy food, and his stomach growls, and he's like, "Oh." And then he goes over to Fen and says, "Did you bring me snacks? I need a snack."
I've got dried apricots, some cashews. I've got some jerky, but kind of salty. Not the healthiest, but something to chew on.
Roshan will bring his book and sit next to Fen and snack on all of them.
mm, okay. Roshan, you take time to read Zabatha's book. Um, Fen, you are easily given information on Odin and Gungnir. I won't even make you roll for that, as this librarian's like easy peasy on that. So the relation between Odin and Gungnir is sort of, you get to see like a beautiful drawn visage of Odin riding into battle, golden cloak of chainmail and helmet, holding this beautiful golden spear in front of him. Um, so when going into battle, Odin would throw his spear into the sky, and this would be like a symbol to gather the gods and that they would join together and aid in combat. It was crafted by the dwarven sons of Ivaldi, crafted to have perfect balance. There are runes carved on the tip of the spear, aiding in its speed and accuracy. An oath was made upon the spear, the creation of it itself, an oath to never miss a target. It is said that oaths made under the spear cannot be broken because of the way the weapon was forged. That because as long as it keeps its oath of accuracy, it is something that oaths can be kept under. It seems to be a radiating magic. So that is an assumption of the spear, that oaths made under it stay strong and true as long as the spear remains strong and true. You don't read anything about smoke or orifices uh, to that extent. You are given a couple books. This woman does not seem to fully pick up what you are putting down, and using the librarians may be difficult for this, unless you're like, okay, here's the entire spiel. But you receive books about smoke inhalation, and you receive a book about how like this one doctor's like, if you blow smoke up the ass, cure your problems. And those honestly pretty on the nose for what you requested. They did their best, so you receive those books.
What about books on? I don't know how else to phrase it. Possession? Possession of a body by a spirit, animation of a body by a spirit, something. I don't know. This is outside of my realm of expertise.
Of course. And Fen, you are given books about possession that you may start like peeling over. Because that seems an easy enough one for them to at least find the basics on possession. So you're able to start looking at that and reading that over. I'm gonna switch over real quick to team in the woods. What are you guys doing this beautiful downtime?
I will say that one thing that Nana wants to do in between other major events and tasks and trips is she will ask Keld if he might be able to help teach her how to better use her sword and board. She'd been primarily dual wielding previously. She's starting to get a better knack for the shield, but she wants to actually get some practice in with somebody who knows what they're doing and can maybe teach her to be more effective with it in the same way that he is.
Keld would happily do that. There's plenty of space to go do a little sparring, get some pointers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are welcome to work at that. Nana seems to also bring up your ability to like keep an enemy like harried, keep them in your vicinity, keep them locked into combat with you, and that seems to be a point that you can start relaying and showing to Nana.
Yeah. I think Nana like really saw Keld like really excelling at directing foes on the battlefield and keeping them where he wanted them. So she wants to better learn how to do that herself.
And if you keep to it, you can have Sentinel.
Hell yeah!
And if you keep it up, you can have Sentinel.
I will be keeping that up as long as you think I need to through this downtime to do that.
I would need at least like technically like half of your downtime at least dedicated to it.
Sure.
Not like back to back to back, but
yeah,
like
We can carve out some time.
Yeah, I feel like a sparring session each evening, maybe, or something like that, or
Yeah.
every other night.
Who needs
something
bird
like that.
time? We've got sparring time.
We got spar time. We got sword and board time.
The old
yeah,
sword
anything
and
else?
time.
That's all happened to be passive unless you guys want to talk about it, but like I will say that that's happening in the background when it is able to throughout.
Cool.
I mean, if you can think of anything specific Keld would tell her in regards to that, I'm open to it, but I don't have anything specific in mind.
I don't have anything in the realm of like actual mechanics wise. Keld might encourage you to know your enemy. I don't know.
Have you
I
considered
do try.
knowing your enemy?
I do try very hard to do that. I've gotten better. In fact, I think like she can sort of show off her skill of being able to like watch somebody for like a minute, just going about their business, doing their thing, and can kind of like pick out something they're good at, or something that they seem to be better at than her, or not so good at as opposed to her.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
at some point Keld will just be like, focus on me. What do you know?
Right?
What do you
Okay.
know about me?
You're awfully big.
Yes.
But you still manage to be quite difficult to hit.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're welcome to use your ability on Keld if you want that information, but
Sure. I'm curious.
and you
What
will
would-
have to say your numbers, like when you ask the question, say your
Mhm.
number out loud, and then Keld would be able to answer it, or at least Greg
Understood.
would be able to answer it.
Number?
Cool.
Prepare yourself. You'll catch on.
You'll catch on.
Don't worry, you'll catch on.
Specifically, know your enemy. I'm going to use a minute of observing Keld at his drills to squint and figure out his. Let me get a vibe for his con score. Mine is going to be wow.
So,
Mine
Greg,
is
you're going to
16.
say if yours is lower, equal, or higher then. So, Nana's con score is a 16.
Higher.
Higher than. Got it. Oh, you're tough. Well, no wonder, but I mean, very tough.
I guess I've built up a lot of that.
Well, I can't imagine you're going to be able to teach me very much on improving that, but if nothing else, perhaps you can help me figure out ways to close up my defenses some.
And your second choice, I think you get 2 things.
Second thing was dex score. My score for dexterity is 17.
So low.
Lower. Now, see, that's interesting. You're so
That's where
damn
you've got a
hard to
good
hit,
advantage.
I will say I'm pretty light on my feet. Don't know if there's very much that I can teach you in return. Might improve your chances there, but honestly, you do just fine for yourself on the battlefield as it is. I don't think you need any pointers from me.
Yeah, you never know.
If there's anything you see me do you want me to teach you, glad to do it.
I'll think on that.
Okie dokie. Anything else from this team? I'll go over to Nyx real quick just because she was not part of Get to Learn Sentinel team.
That's
Oh,
fair.
she doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Boo, that's the
Wow.
boring thing my brother
Sounds
does.
like, yeah, actually, no.
You don't
Ah,
spar with us.
I'm good. I'm good without sparring. You guys are fun.
She could mop the floor with the both of us without really trying, so I don't think she needs it.
True.
It'd be a fight.
It'd be,
Cast hold person and walks away.
yeah, basically. Hold person and then,
Shoves
create
through a
flame.
tree.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, other than making sure people aren't bothering Russ,
Mm-hmm.
is got small things she'd be doing during the day. Is going to attempt scrying on this archer every single day.
Okay. So I'm going to give this person quite the bonus, as all you know about them is possibly their name.
Yes.
So I am going to give them an extra, honestly, an extra plus 10 to their roll. So what you're kind of looking for from me is like a nat 1 scenario. But I get to roll like 30 times throughout this. So, so we'll keep track of that with a little tally marker. Honestly, I'm going to do 5 back to back.
Seems a lot easier.
Okay. Your first 5 days, you do not find anything as you travel up the stream through your scry.
Outside of that, we're sitting with this goose
Mhm.
and trying to help it.
How are you
somehow.
helping this goose? And by goose, just if anybody's curious, we mean an entity made of like rotten flesh turned corruption goo and is vaguely snake shaped. But
Goose snake.
He is a beautiful snake.
Goose snake goose.
We all love him. I think at first it's a lot of just sitting there trying to see what it responds to, if anything at all at this point, and then we'll attempt from there trying to get the spores to become one with it as well, just by sitting and meditating with it.
Okay. What do you think you should have to roll for that? What do you in your mind's eye think that roll is?
I feel like the spores are a nature thing.
Sure. Go ahead and roll me nature for starting to do something with Goose. And by the way, Goose responds, if any of the senses, Goose responds mostly to touch. It seems he is deaf and blind.
Mm.
He does not respond to sound. He responds to like vibrations. But by responds, I mean sometimes reacts to it. He seems unwell.
He's working on it. That's a 2 on the dice, so 6.
Um, you're just watching this thing either do nothing, just like staying stationary or in the ground, or just feels the contact of hundreds of spores and just begins like writhing. It does not seem it is in pain, but it is reacting to just sensation and
Ew,
just
no, gross.
like so currently not a lot of progress, but you know, you got time.
He's learning.
Yes,
Let's
give him a minute.
give him the sensation of being on the staff. the like this is where you could hang out.
You live here, just wrapping him around the staff. This is your home.
You
Um,
can be my new medical staff.
uh,
Perfect.
usually stays on the staff until you walk for a while, and then eventually will start like just
Uh,
not even of its own accord, just eventually will unwind and like fall off. But you can just put him back on, and he seems fine.
could be another way they work on training to see how long he stays on staff.
Yeah. How hard can I shake the staff?
Mm.
You can tie him in a little knot, put him in a little lark's head knot, and just have him dangling from one of the branches. Keld, is there anything you would like to start accomplishing?
Accomplishing.
Or doing, vibing, existing, anything in those categories.
I think he's going to spend some time just around, probably showing Thor and the ladies around and stuff, hanging out with
Yeah.
them, because that sounds nice.
Yeah, they are welcome to. They are happy to hang out with you and be shown around town. Um, they'll be probably pretty chill hanging out in town for like a week tops is probably how long you will
Yeah.
have them. And they're like, They're so fun,
I'm sure it's gonna get old
neat."
quick.
Yeah, but for now there is drink and pickles, and there is a pretty large dinner. That first few, like the first couple nights you guys are back, I think is pretty community orientated. So there's things to do, fun to be had. Um,
I think also probably on the first couple nights, one of them killed will probably talk to his folks about Gunhild.
mhm.
Just in
Um,
case.
just in case. He just wants to voice that he made this choice. He's not sure if it's the right choice, but it felt like the right choice. And just so, I don't know, just because it's probably a little more comforting to share his anxieties with him. But
Yeah,
also, he doesn't
they
want to like be like, watch out.
mhm. um they seem receptive. They've fully taken into account that you have made this choice and you are the most informed person on the subject. So they will defer to you. They will keep an eye out and just be aware. But currently, Gunhild seems to be pretty chill. Um, so far, no issues.
Cool.
Just hanging out.
I'd love to invite her for bonfire drug tea time.
Oh
With
my
Nyx
god.
and
That's so
Goosenake.
funny.
And Goosenake.
And
Um,
Goosenake.
How about you go ahead and roll persuasion for me?
Wait,
Something about going with you guys to the woods.
it's not in the woods. It's just,
Something
It's a
about
clearing off to the
getting
side.
really high and vulnerable around you.
that's she can bring her sort of boyfriend, the Hot Eye,
Oh,
if he
okay. Well,
wants to go.
that may lower the DC if you offer that.
She'd offer. Persuasion. I have what, a -1 to that? Yeah. It's a 17.
Yeah, with the offer of bringing a support system, she is like, yeah, okay. And will get naked and shit faced, and the hot iron sits there on a log, quietly looking off to the side the whole time. He's like, okay,
He could join. He was
very
invited to
cool.
join.
I think maybe he'll do a little dancing around. I don't know if he gets naked and dances about, but he'll do. But mostly like keeping his head upwards, which is easy enough because he has like at least a couple feet on you guys. So he's like, this is fine, no problems.
This this feels like the freshman was invited to the senior party.
Yeah.
And they're all doing hard drugs, and the freshman's like,
Hard drugs,
"Kumbaya,
naked,
my
dancing
lord."
around a fire.
And he's
He's
like,
like,
I'm
"I'm a
happy to be
baby."
here. I don't know if I'm ready
Thanks
for
for
any of
inviting
this.
me.
I'll do a little drugs. So he does a little drugs and a little
As a treat.
dancing. So you guys are able to do that. You start going about your downtime, just getting to kind of exist. And that's where we're going to take our break. Thank you for being here. How about you go get a snack and a drink, and we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Cult for episode 209 of On the Backs of Gods. I am your DM, Julian. We just took our 10-minute break. The party's currently in downtime. They saved the world. Now you just get to like exist and do stuff if you want to. Currently, a lot of talk about Golveg and a lot of trips to the library and some snake training and some normal training and some getting high and dancing around training. So the basics so far. I think I will veer back to Roshan and Fen. Roshan, what's your second topic? Because I would assume this topic honestly would not take you would not take that much time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he looks into that and then spends I don't know what's left of that first day like trying to pack every single one of these things into like a schedule for a day, and
Hmm.
he's going to go whole hog and try to stick to an hour by hour schedule. And then after that, next up is breaking memory curses.
Okay.
He wants to see if like there's anything special about this one, and if just a normal break curse would be okay, or if he need more.
Sure. And Fen, go ahead and give me an investigation check with your pile of books you received to see if anything comes from this.
That would be a nat 1 for a total of 8.
Well, you pour through these books and you linger for like a long time on the smoke up the butt one because it's like that makes sense, right? Like if smoke went up butt, smoke come out of mouth. And you're like,
Smoke
I
to
don't know when he
rise.
I don't know when he would have gotten the smoke in his butt. And eventually you can like decide that that book probably not correct. And if it is, you don't get how it's right, but it could
Yeah,
be. So
no, like
you don't put it up, but you put it to the side.
hmm.
You go on to the books about possession, and you find instances where maybe people discuss a spirit moving like smoke or using smoke as like a descriptor, but it's never somebody just being like, and then there was smoke spilling out of his mouth like crazy. It's always just kind of like they move like smoke. You could see the light behind them, those kinds of things. And I would say the rest of the day, and maybe even some of the next, based on the Nat one, is spent on these books about possession, being like, I will pour through these, and you eventually do not come to any conclusion. Though it may assist somebody else, it might lower a DC for somebody else that you have like marked off things that are like, it's not over here. Don't look in this section. But currently nothing is found.
Also, you are now the party expert on possession, so convenient.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And smoke inhalation. So if you want to
Oh,
suck this thing out of Russ,
well, with the Nat
Eh,
one, I don't know if he absorbed any of it. It's
that's true. That's
I
true.
don't know if
not
any of it was absorbed.
Aw.
Russ is got a little bit of a grudge against me right now. I'm not sure I'm gonna get enthusiastic positive consent about that.
Yeah.
So
Better keep looking.
Hitting the books.
He wants a kiss from me.
Well,
I
he
don't
wanted a
know.
kiss from you.
I owe him a kiss.
you. You do owe him a kiss. That's the correct wording. But I will say, um, go ahead and give me an investigation check for the curse, which isn't going to be crazy high because you technically have already found books related to this, so it's kind of like retracing your steps a little bit.
22.
Okay. You are able to kind of peel back through and find a book about curses and are able to go to the section on curses of mental deterioration. This subclass of curse results in a variety of mental afflictions, usually worsening over time. So you've already gone over most of this. The curse
I
is not
know
hard
about
in. Mm-hmm.
I know about having to find the curse mark.
Yeah, that usually there is a mark on the body from where this curse was placed. Also, for dealing with this curse, it's a spectrum. So sometimes just remove curse can deal with it depending on the level of said curse. But a lot of the time you need to at least know where this symbol is and have like detailed knowledge about like what kind of curse it is and like how it was applied and that kind of thing, depending on how intense the curse is. The downside being that most of the time damage to the brain, it does not heal, but at least it will not continue deteriorating as it had been. um, as you look further into it, you look into crafting rituals to end curses like this, finding that most of the time they involve the spell remove curse and knowledge of the curse itself. Remove curse is not always mandatory, but it gives you a better chance. So there are people who have removed curses without it, but that spell is very helpful. You read that magic practitioners adept at curses have a much easier chance of removing someone else's curse, but it seems that there is sort of a unspoken deal, which means it could be broken, with curse smiths, that they will not interfere with another curse smith's work. So you can try.
Well, I think he would spend the rest of that day looking into what materials might be necessary, and then he would have to go do some investigation at home and um, see if his mother would consent to him finding this curse mark and uh, making a. I'm sure inspecting it with detect magic and the eyes of minute seeing, um, just to get everything he can, and then another day back at the library to see if any of the symbology in her specific mark uh, aligns with anything before trying to come up with a plan.
Okay, give me an investigation check for the sigil first.
27.
27. Um you search over your mother and it's like, I'm not finding it. And it's almost like you can only assume um, that Jinli is a talented magic practitioner, and detect magic is not incredibly helpful in this moment, though it's like you are aware something is there, but it's like your eyes almost can't focus on it with detect magic. So you're like, there's something here. I know there is, but like the detect magic is almost like being pushed away from it. Um, you examine her body and just you're not finding it as you like take her arm and like comb over and like kind of like even like push like down around her fingernails to see if there's just like a small one beneath it, just like all of these tiny places. And you take the time and you come to the conclusion it is not on exposed skin. And you move to her hair and there is a sigil on like the base of her skull covered by her hair.
Tricky. I think there's a duel within him to stay tactful when he finds it, because Jinli sucks and
Mm.
uh, he's pissed about it, um, but he takes a deep breath and will take that information and I don't think he thinks he could do it on his own. So I think he'll get up the pluck to send a message to Keld and ask for. Well, okay, first, he would, I guess, he would spend just probably a couple spell slots contacting Egil every day.
Mhm.
I think it would start out with a, do you know when you're coming home? But after that, it would just turn to, did this today, miss you.
Yeah.
So is Egil on his way home anytime soon?
So he does that thing where it's like, I don't have a timeline, but I'm optimistic. That is kind of the feedback you receive on that.
Good to hear. And then Roshan will not burden him with his mother's healing journey. So instead, he'll reach out to Keld and ask, I don't know if you've got much experience, but my mom is cursed. And I was hoping you could help break it.
Can I respond to this message?
Yes.
25 words, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Remember.
And I know you helped Nana with her curse.
Mm.
Yeah, you have the spell remove curse. You may not have it selected at
Okay.
this moment,
Yeah, it's just like,
but you
It's one
get
of
to
those that
select
you
your
can-
spells every day. So
Yeah, you're one of them.
I forget. That's nice. Keld will respond. I'm more than happy to help with that. I'm not sure what sort of curse you're dealing with, but I'll do what I can.
He'll respond with another sending. I've got more information here. It's a curse of mental deterioration. Anything I should gather before you come?
Keld, if you want to use this, you're welcome to. But last time you used brewing tea as your way to cast this spell.
Hmm. I'll gather what we need.
I'd imagine it's a blend the ladle keeps on hand.
Maybe so.
I think it sounds maybe bordering on emotional when Roshan just says, "Thank you. Can you come tomorrow?"
Yeah.
So Nyx opens a tree tomorrow.
I will
I
imagine
sure
that
hope.
like Nana baked something for Keld to take through with him to
Nice.
her home because
Killed.
she
And they turn
can't
into exploding
go.
cupcakes.
The cubbies are thrown back through the thing at warp speed.
What?
No,
They're not
you
allowed.
Keld enters with a baked good, and I'd love if both of you would talk me through this ritual.
So I think Roshan has gathered everything he could possibly need without gathering the patient because he doesn't want to distress her and have her lay down on a table forever.
Yeah.
And so he over prepares. So when Keld shows up, there's already like a ritual vibe going on. And I think Roshan is nervous but hopeful that day. And says when you come through the tree, um, she's just over here at the chief's house. Um, I'll give you the tour once we're done. Sorry. Uh, Anxious day.
This sounds more important. Well, yeah.
Thanks again.
I'll hand you the baked good. This is from Nana.
Oh, perfect. I will share this with her family.
I think she'd like
Oh, and I told Amma I would personally hand deliver this, but I think if you'll see Nana next, I trust you.
You
And he'll
trade
give you a
baked good
letter.
for letter, and
Mhm.
all right. Walk me through it.
Continuing the fetch quest.
I think Keld will first ask on the way over, like, who this person is and just about them.
Roshan will give all of the details. She's my mother, although she doesn't really recognize me anymore.
Keld's ears get a little sad.
Yeah, and you give Keld information about the curse, as that seems to be relevant to successfully doing that. Give me the vibes. What the ritual? What we doing? Tell me about magic.
I think for this, it's going to be very much Keld introducing himself to Hertha. Who?
Frona.
One more time.
Frona.
Frona.
Yes.
So he'll introduce himself to Frona and just try to have a, like a little conversation with her while he's brewing tea. Just trying to make it a cozy interaction. And I guess he'll as he's pouring the tea and stuff, say a little something about curse removing. I don't have that at the ready. Just some words.
I don't think anybody's ever said they'll spell words at me, so I think you're good. I don't think anybody's ever mumbled spell components at me, so I think you're okay.
Yeah, verbal components are kind of wibbly wobbly in this
I
space.
might start asking for that though, but I'll think about it.
Oh,
that
man.
everybody
I
has to start
just
giving me the verbal
That would be
components.
did
kind
not
of
have that
fun,
on my
though.
mind today.
Um,
So yeah, he's just being he'll offer her the tea.
yeah. Roshan, what does your side of this look like? I'm assuming two things are happening at once, is how I picture this.
Yeah, I think Roshan will show Keld the curse mark above her hairline and the back of her head, and then doesn't know how to step in, and so he's kind of like a doctor's assistant, ready to get anything, and then will I think as Keld begins casting, will use detect magic to get an idea of the ambient magic that Keld is producing and will attempt to amplify that with his own magical energy, healing magical energy, but because he does not have curse-breaking magical energy of his own.
Mm. Okay.
I feel like they'd dovetail.
Let's see. It sounds like you have given Keld the lead, which means Keld will be doing the roll. He will have advantage. How about if you have a request for what you think you'd like to roll for this, Keld, I will take it.
I suppose I'd lean religion, as this is a ritual.
It is a ritual, which would lead me Arcana, which I
mm,
do not want to do to you.
I know.
Which I don't want to do to you. I usually don't veto a choice, but I
That makes
think
the
I have
most
to
sense.
veto religion. But I would be willing to also do your spellcasting modifier. So a +2.
Mm.
So go ahead and roll me 2 d20s and tell me what we get with a +2.
Ah. It's a 12.
So your highest is a 12.
Yeah.
Oh boy. You better sage those dice, my guy. Maybe you need my dice jail.
Maybe. To be fair, this isn't Keld's forte.
It's not. If somebody's willing to give me something, I'll make it work. You can always
Get-
try again later. But if somebody wants to give me something,
Fenn's sitting in the library. I really hope that Keld and Roshan are doing all right now.
Yeah, right?
So many books, so many
So many
diagrams of
books.
smoke going butt.
Mm.
He's like, he keeps going back to it. He's like, this fucking book. Who did this? Who wrote this? There's no author. It doesn't say who wrote it.
This better not awaken anything in me.
I feel like I'm learning
Who
something
is
about
this
myself.
McElroy person?
But if not, you guys are welcome to keep trying. It is just, it's going to be a once a day kind of thing.
Okay.
What kind of things might you be accepting of?
Permanent things.
Permanent things?
Ooh.
Could I burn 500 gold worth of gold shavings?
I like where your head's at.
I could offer some diamonds that I didn't use.
Okay, all right. Putting in some spell components. Okay, 500 gold, 300 gold worth of diamond. You got about like 600 gold worth of diamond on you, don't you? I think
Yes.
I'd want all of them. Listen, I'm willing to take components.
Yeah, I did
Is
not specify, but sure. It just says
I-
diamond.
Might want to start specifying, but now you don't have to because now you got none.
Yeah.
Now you don't got to worry about it.
Now you just gotta buy more.
So give me one more cool thing.
I'm sure Roshan can take you to Jarl's
Give
Mecca
me, give me one more cool thing. Give me else. Give me else.
What would I offer you? One sweet tooth sugar now.
Hold on.
I've got another 100 gold worth of incense. I've got gem plates from a creature we killed.
You got anything personal?
I'm sure Roshan has personal stuff.
You got personal stuff you want to give to me? You want to give me a personal thing? You wanna?
Yes. You.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you
Yeah.
hesitate on it, I want it. If it's something you hesitate on, I want that.
I hesitate on everything. It's just that nothing feels perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to the ring from that Russ used?
Oh,
Is that
it like dust.
okay?
It broke after
Sick.
the event.
Okay,
Sick.
I'll remove that
Right.
from my inventory. Well, I think
Hey,
Roshan
give me a
wanted.
finger. You give me like 2
I
fingers.
mean, that's not a bad idea. I was going to say eyes of minute seeing, the glasses that Roshan was using, but if finger,
You give me blood for the
Sure.
blood god, I think. I want
Blood for the
I want,
blood
like,
god.
I want 2 fingers.
Bone for the
Yeah.
bone throat.
you can have 2 fingers.
Awesome. Roshan, you see that like Jinli's curse is putting up a fight. And you guys are like at this for a while, putting in these components and burning them for magical energy. And Roshan, you see it is about to fail. What do you do?
I think Roshan sees the amount of things, magical energy that we've boiled down into this spell, and there is nothing. The components that are non-living are not getting us anywhere, and before it fails, I think Roshan reaches into his belt and pulls out a knife and will set the blade against his fingers and press as hard as he can.
And I know I have to touch. Can I touch with my hag hand?
Sure. You add hag hand energy to this, the original curse, if you will. And then you watch Roshan cut his fucking fingers off next to you. And you watch your mother's eyes like glaze over red as she sits stock still. And then you watch as like they start to drain and you begin to see the tops of the whites of her eyes. And then it looks like blood, but being up close, you can tell it isn't. It begins to seep from her eyes until her vision is clear. And she sits there for a moment. It seems very confused. Seemed pretty confused through the entirety of this, to be fair. As I think almost actually anybody would. To have just somebody trying to like give you tea while they're like cupping the back of your head and then somebody cuts their fingers off next to you. An event for sure.
After like burning incense and like, expensive diamonds.
Yeah. Also, give me all those incense. That just seems like I
Sure.
want those too. Thank you. Also, give me all those sweet incense. Um, just because a 12 is pretty low, give me some stuff.
Yeah.
Give me all the cool shit. Give me everything you got. But
It's empty.
these tears fall from your mother's face and like sort of kind of dissolve, like turn to dust as they drip off of her chin and just eventually fully dissipates. And she looks around and looks at you. Oh. And she like is like staring at your face intently and reaches up and like strokes your cheek, kind of like up to your temple. Oh, your beautiful hair.
Uh, I think Roshan at the end of this has cut 2 fingers off, is woozy on his feet for like 5 seconds, and then he heals himself and still looks a little sick, but when she does that, he bursts into tears and looks like maybe he could throw up, but it's with relief rather than sickness. Um, and I think he would thank Keld profusely and give Keld directions to the bar, and say, I'll meet you there, and I promised you a tour, so thank you again.
Looking forward to it. He'll give Roshan a hug.
Roshan is small and Keld is very big.
Your mother stands up. Oh, I didn't mean to make you cry. I'm sorry. Let me get some tea going. And she'll kind of meander into the kitchen.
Yeah, let me help you with that.
Yeah.
And
mhm.
Roshan will dote for as long as he needs to feel secure that she's doing better.
Okay. And the thing is, it seems like at least she is not getting worse. It does seem like a little bit of a haze is lifted, but like she seems to still very much struggle with names and timelines, but seems better. During this time, she does ask for Erling's name, probably for the first time, um, and is like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Erling," and like acknowledges that this is not her baby. Um, but you stay as long as you need to. Keld gets the door. Here's our screaming naked statue, and
So this is what we thought the flame looked like.
so here's this, here's that. You can do the rounds.
Show the
Welcome to do
ruins
the.
of Nana's house.
I'm sure they cleaned. Yeah, they
Oh,
just
they
left
probably
it there.
did. No, they probably cleaned it up, I will say. They
didn't
probably
just
cleaned
leave
it up,
this
but
like
there
destroyed shack
probably
in the
were
middle of
like
town.
I don't know. There's probably like the foundation, like the corners, I think maybe, but like not much else.
But you get the tour of the town. You're able to drink and stay there as long as you'd like to. What else is going on during this beautiful downtime? We're accomplishing things left and right.
There will be a point where Nana will want to return Hell's Dowry to the brushwood, the temple to Scotty, but that will probably happen when Fen goes to see the Temple of Scotty, also to follow up on his oath.
So is
and
there
promises.
anything before that?
Prior to that, I think she's spending a lot of time going back over a lot of the the various letters and missives that she's accrued over the course of our long journey, and she takes some time to read back over Ave's will, trying to see if there's anything that she can read there now with the benefit of hindsight, with the benefit of the things that she's learned over the course of her travels, or if she still has questions to answer.
Yeah, that would be up to you, I suppose.
I mean, honestly, there's still plenty of things that don't seem necessarily clear. There's implications that could be made about some of the points about his cautions to us about not letting his body burn in the valley, and the points about the relic we were seeking being pertinent to a ritual of holding corruption at bay seemed to hold true. It feels like there's still not enough here to really piece things together, and it still isn't clear to her whether or not the chief's crest was important in all of that, whether or not that was the linchpin that fucked it all over. And I do think that when she gets the letter from home from her mom, when Keld comes back over, she thanks him profusely and reads it over, and has another one prepared for the next time anybody goes over. And it's not like her mom would know anything about that, but I do think that she sends word over to Roshan in a letter to him, asking him specifically whether he's learned anything about the Chief's Crest, Ave's mission, his intentions with the ritual. She just underlines there's things I still don't understand.
So you receive a baked good and this letter.
Yeah.
I think Roshan's response to that would be like, I don't know how far we are into downtime at that time, but he would.
It's
I care not.
within like the first couple weeks, I think, maybe.
He would ask Nyx if he could bring Hertha and Amma to the woods to visit Nana for a dinner.
Yeah, should open a tree for everyone. Let them come over.
And would invite Hertha and Amma to a dinner with our new sister city in the woods.
On the other side of the hammer, even.
Yeah.
Sure. Easy enough to get everybody back over there. Nana, you are informed, like, oh, hey, your family's here. And you make your way out, and as you turn to face them, your vision goes black. You are conscious. You can still speak and hear and move. You cannot see them. Oh, honey, you look good. And your mother comes over and hugs you.
Thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. I've been trying to take care of myself. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Roshan's been fiddling around town and starts going on and on about his questions and talking about Erling and how he's doing and starting to approach milestones in the babbling and grabbing variety, um, in the rolling over type. Um, but they come over, they are content to enjoy a meal with you. When you turn around to like walk towards the door to be like, oh, come inside, your vision clears up and you are able to walk forward easy enough. You see just fine. But anytime you try to look and face any of them, your vision goes black.
Well, Nana is not going to burden her mother or Hertha with that, so she will use her fairly keen hearing to just let her kind of track their conversation through the evening. She doesn't want to scare them. So she just tries to keep up appearances for the dinner, and she's really happy to see them. She really, really is. I don't think it'll escape her mom's notice that she's misty-eyed every time she looks at them.
And she'd be like, well, it should be. You haven't seen me in a long time. This makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, of course.
Sadly, you cannot read her face.
Yeah, no.
But quality time is had, just not seen.
Yeah. I think she holds it together pretty well until they go home. I do think she breaks down very badly after they leave.
Well, before they leave, I think Roshan would give the download of what he heard from Amma in private.
Yeah.
Not going to air that out over dinner.
Yeah. And I
and
do
that-
think like Nana will also make mention of this little hiccup with the curse in private. She'll make sure everybody knows. Roshan will know. She'll make sure Nyx and Keld are aware. But make sure that that's in there. But
I think Roshan would try and test it and will just like give a minor illusion of Hertha. Can Nana see the minor illusion?
Well, Joshua.
Loopholes.
Ooh. It isn't her loved one. It is an image thereof.
Give me a second. Let me ponder.
I mean, she was presumably able to read the letters from home.
That's true.
If she were fully blocked from perceiving things of home.
Well, it wasn't things of home, it was loved ones.
That's true.
And you don't love this letter. It's pretty cool, but
Yeah, it's great to have the letter, but it is not the loved one. That's true. And I mean, in fairness, that would also be true of an illusion or an image or a picture of her loved
I don't
ones.
know if I fully
know.
agree.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you have your sad moment of getting to see a projected image of a loved one. Sure, you can have that.
It
Perfect.
is sad. It's messy. I think she cries real ugly.
That's good to know. And Roshan will go home and commission whoever's the best at graphite portraiture in Galunder to make graphite drawings of mom, sister-in-law, and nephew.
Okay,
for Nana.
give me 3 gold and they'll start on that.
Hell yeah.
God bless him. God bless him.
Fen, you have been fully abandoned at the library. You are stuck in the library.
Hasn't Roshan sent a message to him once?
Well, Fen can't send messages first, so he can't reach out to anybody, and he can't use teleportation, and he can't go through the tree, but he's at the library, so if there's anything else you wanted to look into, Fen, you're welcome to.
Fen continues to read about Gungnir, and he wants to read about gods in specifically two areas. He wants to read about Scotty, but he also wants to read about oaths made to gods, oaths made by gods, anything related to that.
Okay, go ahead and give me investigation. I'll give you advantage because the people will help you.
Well, thank you for advantage because that was another nat 1,
Hmm,
but I will take the 25 instead. Thank you.
that is better. Um, you are easy enough to find information on Scotty. That seems very easy to do. Um, she is a goddess of winter, hunting, and skiing. Also, like takes domain over mountainous regions. She's also known as the goddess of the untamed wilds. Um, she is known for being stoic and strong-willed, an adept warrior that was feared by the gods. Her tenets include self reliance in survival situations, respect to nature, resilience and strength when faced with loss, and acceptance of primal human nature. Her followers pride themselves in being adept with a bow and arrow and hunting for their own food, being self sufficient in the wild. Uh, Many of her followers are women, but it is not exclusive. Most of her temples exist in forests or on snowy mountains. Um, Many of her followers are given a pilgrimage that they must complete, usually involving isolation in harsh environments. Um, Scotty is also represented by the colors white, pale blue, and then grays, browns, blacks, that of mountain stone and rocks. Um, she is also represented by like people who make visages of her or wear religious iconography or make necklaces. Also use quartz crystals, as they are like snowflakes and have six-sided symmetry and are known as mountain crystals or crystals of Scotty. So that's the info you're able to find on her.
Okay. Is there any mention of her shrine in the brushwood that we visited once before?
You don't find any information on the exact locations of any of her temples. They seem to just be like, there are temples. They do not mark them on maps. They do not seem to be disclosed.
Okay.
Um, and oaths to gods. There are many people that make oaths to gods, including clerics and paladins. This can also go to warlocks. It just kind of depends on the scenario. Most of the time, depending, it's usually just an exchange of tenants where someone will establish a guide that they will live by, and therefore the god supports them with magic, so that they can uh, present the tenants specified by said god. There are some entities of the celestial type that maybe instead of oath trade in deals, but it seems most celestials are known for oath making. And if one were to fail upon one's oath, usually the consequence is the loss of magic, the separation of that individual and their connection to that deity. So it seems that that's the big broad strokes of what you find about oaths, is that people make oaths to gods a lot and just have to embody them. And when they stop doing that, the god stops investing in them, which most of the time is usually a mutual decision between the two.
Anything about oaths made under relics?
You got your info on Gungnir.
Okay.
That's that's what you're able
Fair
to
enough.
find on it. Doesn't seem like there like is another one that talks about it. Um, but that's the details you currently have. Doesn't seem like if you try to look into like other relics that this happens on, nothing comes up that you are able to find, either because it is not there or a 25 was not good enough. You're not sure.
Okay. Yep. Fen is happy to continue studying until somebody comes to fetch him. He told Nix that he was going to, and that's what he intends to do.
Okie dokie. Fen, hitting the books. Anything else from y'all's lists of things you sent me?
I'm sure there's going to be a point where, like, a good number of us go to the library, so I will withhold my library topics until that point.
Sure, go to the library whenever you want to go to the library.
Mm,
Or do another thing from your list. Keld, I'm going to jump to you real quick while Nana ponders.
I ponder.
I guess Keld will check in with Nix at some point. Because I know they had been mentioning a little trip.
She's around. She's not been doing too much other than being near the house or wherever Russ is hiding to make sure he's
Yeah.
not bothered.
Hmm.
Yeah, Brynja seems to have been spending a lot of time with Russ also, just seems to have been,
Tag team.
yeah, it's like you both are kind of working on this. Russ seems to be busying himself a lot with like work
Mhm.
and focusing on that, but you are able to also keep checking in and keep people from bothering him.
I did want to reach out to Rose early on and tell her that Russ is in Dem Woods because she needed to debrief him.
Hmm.
All right, you do that, so she is informed.
You find her outside with a goose snake,
Hmm.
trying to make it stay on a staff longer than 5 seconds.
Are you sure it's alive?
It moves on its own. It's not very good at hanging on yet.
Hmm.
We're working on it.
Keld will poke it.
It rolls over, reacting to the touch, and then like stomach up, and then falls fully off the staff.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'll reflexively catch it.
It is gross. It smells bad.
Why
I'll
do you
take him
have
there.
this?
I feel like Keld has asked Nix this about a lot of pets over the years.
And the answer is, I think I can help him.
Hmm. You know, if anyone can, it has to be you. I know we mentioned above table this, but I've just lost my whimsy for the idea, so I don't know.
I mean, she's happy to go. Girls seem lonely. And I don't need to stay here all day. We can go into the woods and see her. I could get us there and back. So it's not like we even have to walk there.
That's
Maybe
right.
she'd have a good idea of how to train Goose. Hold up the snake.
You know. She might.
If anybody would.
I'm asking everyone.
Guess it's worth a shot.
Should we bring stuff?
Probably. What should we bring?
Food would be polite.
Food. We
Mm.
can get a bread from the baker.
We can go around, collect some baked goods and things.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Maybe some eggs.
So we'll go visit the person with all the chickens.
Mm-hmm. Easy enough.
Yeah. I think that's enough.
Makes sense to me.
We go over to a tree, and I will try to open it and take us to the Lurk's house.
You open a tree into expansive darkness. You both are welcome to step through.
Well,
Here we go.
And we both go through
she
the
lives
tree.
around here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm assuming Nyx put you at least on the path to the home, pretty close.
Yeah.
All of
It's
these
as close as we can get.
twisted bones and pieces of metal and glass, pieces of armor and weapons dangling from trees as kind of dissonant wind chimes. It is incredibly dark and cold, and you instantly, it is like a gut punch being here, not like slowly making your way into the brushwood, but for just stepping into the middle. There is a gut punch as you kind of like the wind is knocked out of you as that like miasma sort of like takes over. But as you make your way closer to the home, that seems to gently fade, and you're presented with this house that is built into the kind of inside the lifted roots of a very large tree, twisted fabrics tied up in the branches, a large wooden door, and quiet.
Is there something to knock on? Or a bell?
I mean, you could knock on the door.
We'll be
You
polite.
give it a little tap. And the door just slowly creaks open. And you can see the dark expanse of her home, the smell of dust and mold, the kind of faded coppery smell of blood, and an emaciated corpse sitting stock still, pale skin, cracked black marks across its body, large white eyes and thinning black hair, sitting in a rocking chair, unmoving, mouth agape, sharp teeth.
And we go inside and start
Okay.
setting out a blanket and like a little picnic on the
Yeah.
floor.
You go inside and start setting up. When you turn and like place the blanket down, you hear like a loud creak of wood as something large and imposing moves around the home. And then the footsteps seem to lessen as the more, I guess, feminine, matronly form of the lurk, the brushwood, the somler, comes over. Body similar to the one that was emaciated in the chair, but this one seeming like full of life, and as if blood pumps through her veins, and she does not lay there emaciated, but seems confused, curious, and like is stepping her way around you as you set up a picnic in the middle of her home. But it is easy enough to convince her to sit.
We set
And
up a spot for her.
yeah,
Everything.
you're like, this is where you sit, and
Mhm.
she nods
Hmm.
and
Goose is
sits.
beside me in his pot.
Yeah. He just looks like a pot of goo, to be fair,
Yeah.
but
Well, sometimes he's upright and like hitting the edge of it.
that's true. Sometimes he does pop up and just bonk into the side for a
Yeah.
while. I wasn't sure if you'd come.
Surprise.
I am surprised. I'm also a bit upset,
Hmm.
as you and I made a deal, and that deal came to fruition, and then you were pulled from me. And it is strange.
It was out of my hands. I suppose I was as surprised as you.
I believe you. I know you wouldn't hurt me. And she smiles, and it is like this big twisted thing, these like bright white sharp teeth and these large round white eyes that stare at you.
No.
Well, good. And just like this smile just kind of lingers for a while. I am glad that all of these deals are coming to fruition. It takes a while for people to understand, I think, for it to sink in.
Hmm. Everyone was very giving.
Mm. And now they are quite distraught.
Do you like that?
I do. There is some part of me that does. All deals, most deals, are consensual. Sometimes you get caught up in the wording and maybe you get something more than was explicitly stated, but most of the time, quite straightforward.
Hmm.
And I don't revel in it immensely. There is a sensation of a deal done well, a job done correctly, that I enjoy. Now, the others, maybe they revel.
The others?
Death and everything.
Hmm.
She picks up an egg and like
Mhm.
observes it and then puts a full egg into her mouth and crunches it.
Hmm.
That's why we brought them.
And what is this? And she motions to Goose.
I don't know what to call him.
It is a
X will.
corrupted thing.
She'll explain what happened to him, the whole thing. So
Uh,
I brought him.
She reaches into the pot and just like yanks it out to like look at it.
Hmm?
She runs her fingers over like the kaleidoscope burns. That's interesting. Well, and then she'll like she puts it back in after examining it, realizing, she can't have it, can't eat it. Puts it back politely, as a good mother would.
No. I'm trying to help him. Haven't figured out how yet.
You could always make a deal, and I could fix him.
Well, I don't want him back to how he was.
And that's
And
what
you
I
don't
would
seem
do.
very sure of him.
Well, if he returns to how he was, I am assuming he will be hostile. But
Right.
if you have a way of avoiding that, I feel as if you give him I suppose I could make him malleable,
Hmm.
but I would request a deal, as I can't show favoritism.
Mm, feel like I can figure it out without a
Mm.
deal.
See
And we
now,
brought you stuff for free and came to have a picnic with you, and you want deals. When all we wanted was to visit.
old habits. No deals then.
Bread.
This is just a
Bread.
nice visit with family.
Yes.
He's like your grandson.
Grand Snake.
This is your grandson.
The grand snake, yes.
There's like this like sound in the back of her throat, and then just this like dry, hollow sounding laughter. Well, then this is just a get together with family. Thank you for visiting and bringing my grand entity with you. I suppose
Hmm.
I could give a gift of my own. No trades, just the trade of kindness. A
We give
gift
gifts all the time. That makes sense with family.
True.
from a mother to a son. And she will hold her hand out to you, Keld.
Suppose he'll reach out his hag hand.
Good assumption.
Seems right.
And her fingers dig in, and it's almost like light kind of emanates from inside of your arm, so that it's like this red hue to it, like when you shine a flashlight through your hand, but you can see the weaving and intricacy of the hag hand under your flesh. And you can see it like pulse with energy and twist and writhe under the skin. And she lets go. Enjoy. It may keep you from me longer, but I suppose you are here now. And that's nice.
Thank you.
And and she like picks up a loaf of bread and just like begins like cramming it into her mouth.
I knew she was gonna do that.
She does. I don't know if she really has the teeth for bread, but she's doing her best.
Keld will pour her some tea to wash that down.
Mhm.
It is a mostly awkward
Mhm.
exchange, and you can feel the haze of the brushwood creeping in the corners of your mind. It is being held at bay, but you still feel it. And eventually, I suppose you have to leave or stay forever, which she does imply a few times. Which is implied on
Well,
multiple
look at the
occasions.
time.
Uh,
Forever is up.
I will await another visit.
Sounds good.
Another, you called it, picnic.
Is there something we should bring next time? You didn't seem to like the bread much.
I will accept gifts and surprises.
Mm.
we'll think of something.
Be careful. She elaborates no further than
Yeah.
that. From anybody else, okay. From the lurk, it's like, of what? Girly.
I'm
Um,
always careful.
We are careful. Next time, you can tell us the story of your favorite deal you've ever made.
I can do that. And you go over to a tree and you have to fight to pry that thing open. You have to fight against this tree to open up the doorway, but are able to step through. And it's immediately like just an immense amount of pressure is taken off of your chest as you step back into Dem Woods.
I feel like Nana has like a recovery station kind of ready for them because like she knows the experience of stepping out and stepping into and stepping out of the brushwood feels. So, you know, there's juice, there's cookies, there's towels, I guess. I don't know, whatever you need.
Yeah, there's towels.
You got to know where your towel
Towels
is.
to wipe off the dread.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like maybe there's like that gross condensation from how thick and humid the brushwood atmosphere is. It kind of like clings onto you a little bit. So, especially with Keld's fur.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm just always this way.
yeah. I'm always
Always
damp.
wet. Always a little moist.
Just a girly who's always a little wet. Yeah. Geld, if you take stock of your arm, there is like if you feel at like your muscles and the bones there is like a strange, I don't know the right word for it, sturdiness. Like your arm feels stronger, but not in the sense of muscle.
Durability?
Maybe. But there is something in there, and it seems like it is doing something. And I will give you those details of what you have acquired. So you know that something has changed.
Yeah, I suppose he'll be sort of pondering and trying to figure out what's going on there.
Honestly, yeah, if you sit there for a while and kind of are like, go gadget arm and stay there for a while
Can
trying
I
to
do
figure
it
it out.
in the company of Thor?
Sure, Thor watches you do a montage like
Contemplate
Spider-Man
the
trying
arm.
to shoot web out of his wrist. She's
Nice.
like, uh-huh. She's like watching, and you eventually are like, okay, and just channel spell energy into it, just your magic.
Mm.
And you feel the twisting, writhing underbelly of your arm, I suppose, comes out from beneath your skin and begins to wrap around the flesh arm and cover it. It doesn't hurt. Strange sensation. But this arm seems incredibly durable. Like almost a shield in and of itself.
Hmm.
But eventually it will dissipate and kind of recede after a minute.
The magic or like the feeling?
All of it. Your arm perpetually feels like more durable, but the vines that come forth and encapsulate your arm and feeling like it is a shield, that dissipates. The thing that your magic was able to conjure.
Okay.
All right. And just real quick, does anybody have anything that's not library related?
I actually do.
Ooh.
I did want at some point to try and visit with Loki. On account of I wanted to just check in with him and say hi. He did seem to like Nana the most out of all of us who went to visit with him. I don't know if that's very much at all, but he seemed to vibe. And she also would like to inquire about the box what he bequeathed to us. Yeah,
Sure.
at least
There's
ask for a
only
hint, maybe.
there's only really one way to first get in contact with Loki. So
Yeah. That would be like just go
sending.
give go. Well, yeah, no, that tracks. I do not have that, so I will probably wind up. Ah, God. We've surely
I'm
set up some kind of system where I can like ping Roshan.
I am not being a hard ass about this because once again,
Okay.
you have so many people that can travel between the places at will. So it is easy enough to be like, Roshan, step through the tree, and Roshan's like, ugh, and like comes out and like
Fine.
goes through the tree. What's up?
Yeah.
What are we doing? So you
Gotta
can
do
either
our
go to
sending
Roshan
check.
or Roshan can come to you. Easy peasy.
Cool, cool, cool.
Roshan's like, you're like,
Well-
come to Demwoods, and he's like, fine, and
Yeah, it's
can
like
come
I
and
can't
visit.
go to Galunder. We already established this.
Yeah, so you ask Roshan if when he has a minute if he can come back through.
Yeah.
I'm sure Roshan will oblige, or he says, "Suck it." Unclear. But Roshan, you come back to Demwoods on Nana's request.
What can I help you with?
Wanted to know if we could reach out to Loki, see whether or not he's. I don't know if anything happened outside of where we were this last time around with Bosch and everything. So who knows? I just reach out, see if he's doing okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Roshan will reach out and say, "Hi, friend. What did it feel like when we failed to save the world and then saved it? Hope you're well."
I would imagine he would notice that out of everybody.
Hello, friend. It was a sensation. Thank you for the experience. I hope you're well.
Roshan will make the ick face while he's getting talked to and just say, "Turns out Loki's freaky. He liked it. Said thanks."
Well, I mean, he wasn't in the best place last we met with him, in fairness. It seemed like his job at, I think it was a bakery, was kind of everything he was still living for a little bit.
Well, he's still alive,
That's
but
great!
he also is notoriously hard to kill and probably would like to die anyway. So, yeah.
Well, if that's the case, you know, we're reaching out to everybody and anybody at this point, and I think that perhaps it might be worth our time to at least say hello. And I don't know, maybe if he's willing to part with a hint about that stupid box he gave us.
Yeah. When I find the time, I think I can do it. I'm so close.
I believe you.
Nana,
if you
you
don't,
don't
want me to
believe
ask.
him.
Oh no, I don't! Oh shit. Oh fuck. The words did come right off her tongue. Like, it was automatic. And then after a hot second, she's like, well, I mean, you know, it, perhaps, well, maybe,
You just got to invite him. That's all you got to do.
yeah, you know, I feel
I
like,
want to meet him, guys. You keep saying you met a god. I want to meet him.
in fairness, we do kind of owe Nyx and Keld a little bit. We've been telling them all about us meeting Loki, and they haven't had a chance to meet him.
Yeah.
I don't know if Fen would also want to go? As far as I know, I think he's still at the library.
Yes. I plan on heading back there soon. So maybe I'll collect him if he wants to come do brunch with Loki this weekend. If, as you say, Nix and Keld are like interested in meeting him.
They've definitely been
Um,
intrigued, if nothing else, and have definitely been razzing me about not exactly believing that, the Loki is living as a baker in a cliffside town.
What I'd give to give the hag Loki bread.
You
I don't
know?
know what that means, but I want to do it.
Bread baked by the hand of Loki? I feel like that'd be pretty cool to the hag.
well, the next day at the library, Roshan will run this by Fen and be like, "Hey, do you want to take Loki out for brunch this weekend? It sounds like Nix and Keld really want to meet him."
I can think of few things that I want to do less than that.
So
I
you're
will
in.
not allow any of you to do it without me,
Mm.
but I think you're out of your collective minds. What compels any of you to want to do that?
Well, I think Nana told them about it, and they've worked themselves up into this kind of furor over meeting a god.
Were we not dead enough days ago?
I don't know. I I think as long as there's no Bragi there, then everything will be fine. He's not worried that he can die, so I think it'll be okay.
All right. Not sure if Nana would want to return Hell's dowry before that or after, but I suppose if you're going to go, I'll go with you. As foolish and errand as I think it is.
And I suppose Roshan is at the library. His next goal is to pick up teleportation circles as far reaching as he can. So why not? Is Noansix the one with the tower, Loki's tower in it?
No, wait. I need my map. I think it's the opposite coast or opposite side of the coast. Resources.
Noaten? No.
It is. That's the scroll, 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 scroll. 15. A Havalaser, sees light.
Ah, yes. Uh, Roshan would attempt to see if he can find a circle around there, so he doesn't have to rendezvous with Nyx in the morning.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you straight up. You start looking into trying to find teleportation circles. Start like realizing you're not finding anything. Talk to a librarian. They inform you that they have basically every known teleportation circle in a book. It is not available to the public.
I think Roshan nearly gets himself kicked out for wanting to scream, but instead calms himself and asks, "How do I get access to this book?"
I don't think you could have access unless you were a follower of Snotra and a keeper of the tomes.
Hey.
Sometimes we allow access if there is a Jarl who comes through and is needing information that's in our restricted section. This is your first time hearing about the restricted section. Um,
He drops the anger for excitement and tries to fight, saying, "Tell me more about the restricted section."
Tell me more, please.
Would written request from a chief be enough?
No.
Good to know.
Mm.
Ah,
And Roshan, also, you're aware that Loki may not be there. Last time Alyona went to the tower because you brought it up and she said the tower was empty. So you might
that's
have
right.
to send out the invite.
Yeah, I think Roshan, sad, crestfallen, that night will reach out to Nyx and say, "Well, I thought I could get myself there, but I can't. Um, can you pick Fen and I up?"
Nyx, can you come pick us up?
Dad, tell me when you're by a tree.
Will do. And then he'll reach out to Loki and say, "Hello again, friend. Would you like to do brunch this weekend? Havalizer? I have some friends who'd love to meet you."
You send the message and do not receive an immediate response. You feel that it has landed, but you do not receive a response. And you go to the tree and you're like, Nix, pick us up. And you walk through into Dem Woods and you feel a secondary step behind you as a man a little under 6 feet, probably like thick blonde curled hair, um, currently walking on one crutch, uh, wearing nice clothes, eyes currently a baby blue, uh, comes through handsome, incredibly so. I will say for the people that met Loki prior, um, there is something different, even if you don't have good insight. There is something immediately different about looking at Loki, and it is in Loki's eyes. There is like a clarity there. There seems to not be a cloud of madness encapsulating them at this time as Loki kind of follows you through the tree. It seemed easier, and if I go back to town and then I have to explain why I missed my shift, and she can be quite stern. And Loki sort of like walks past you on his crutch. So, friend, what did you need from me?
Well, I think when he hears the extra set of feet behind him in the tree, he does look around, see a person he doesn't recognize, and yelps. But then gets the picture pretty quick and says, um, "We wanted to introduce you to our friends. They were really interested in meeting you. This is Nyx, um, and Keld, I'm sure, is around here somewhere."
I'm sure. Yeah.
Of course. A pleasure. And he holds a hand out to take yours.
She'll put her hand out.
He takes it and kisses it, and he like looks at you, and you watch as like his eyes, kind of like a almost like a slot machine, go between colors.
Hmm.
It's nice to meet you. Not a lot of people asking for my company. And just big smile.
I hear they owe you a leg, and I'm gonna try to fix it.
We
Ooh.
do rather owe you that leg. We've been
Mhm.
having a terrible time trying to reach Gorbjorn. I think he might still have it.
Your face is more familiar to me. Your voice.
Yes, Nana. Nana Hemming's daughter.
And he just kind of like stares at you for like a long moment. Like you can see that he's thinking, and maybe there is a disconnect between some of the memories prior, um, when he was living in his own leg, was the marrow of his own bones.
Mm.
Uh,
We met at your tower.
That sounds a little crazy.
might be.
It was a little.
Oh, I know your voice. You told me something quite sensational. You told me that I should get some fresh air. Thank you.
Truly, it helped.
I feel I wanted to say like myself, but I feel like someone. And he just smiles.
Sometimes that's better.
I'll take that. Did you need something from me? You all just wanted to meet? I can do a meet and greet. I'll sign something.
Well, to meet, to share some light repast, and perhaps ask you to relay the story of our meeting to our friends so that we can corroborate our story. They don't believe us.
Oh, I can't believe you either. I remember nothing.
Oh dear, are we going to have to tell you it all?
I, if you'd like, I
We
hope it's a
could.
story I'll enjoy.
I think that it turned out, I think you'll agree, pretty good in the end, even if perhaps it was maybe a little contentious in the moment.
Hmm. Well, I suppose I will hear it over. And he like looks to the sky. It is no longer brunch time, but
Lunch, I would say.
hmm,
Perhaps. Maybe dinner.
perhaps. And he like stares up the sky and then like looks back down, and like one of his eyes is the color of the sun and the other one the color of clouds.
Oh, that's...
So now I acknowledge that perhaps you are just kind, friendly folk interested in feeding me and waxing poetic about a meeting that we had that I'm sure went well. But most people don't reach out to gods unless they want something.
You did happen to give us a box of yours. Or perhaps it was something you had. I don't know that. Regardless.
Huh.
We believe we're quite close to sussing out the key to its unlocking, but I don't suppose with fresh eyes you might be able to provide a direction in which to pursue.
Um, I'm not exactly sure what you are referring to, but show it to me and perhaps I can be of assistance.
She
Roshan will
will
produce it.
gesture towards the box.
He takes the box from your hand and like looks it over and like kind of moves it side to side. Shush-a-shunk, shush-a-shunk, shush-a-shunk. Hmm. And as he stares at it, you watch as his eyes slowly turn to this like beautiful deep brown of the wood. Hmm. And he like looks at the keyhole. Oh, well, I must have felt some sort of way about you to give you this. I can open it. Well, you can open it if you like.
Certainly. Um, we were trying to go about opening it. It was being somewhat disagreeable on the point.
Oh, see, that's the fun part. I'm not sure if you would have been able to. If you were, I'd have loved to hear how you did it. But
All right.
I could, of course, assist you.
Well, I know that it's been a project somewhat near and dear to Roshan's heart. I would hardly wish to injure his pride. Uh, but perhaps if he wouldn't mind a hint or two.
I'll not turn down assistance as much as I'd like to riddle it out on my own.
And his eyes are like on Nana, and you watch like his eye color changes to Nana's eye color. I gave it to you. He says it almost like a question and a statement at the same time.
I rather imagined that it being an item requiring some arcane specialty, perhaps, to understand how to get it open. I trusted the friend I knew arcane matters the best. Was I wrong?
See, the best riddles are ones that magic cannot fix. Those are the interesting ones. I could help you open it. And he sticks out his tongue and then like looks to you.
Do you want? Okay.
And you watch as he like pats his finger against his tongue.
Okay.
Mine. And sticks his tongue back out.
Do I say mine?
He smiles. You're very cute. He grabs your wrist
Oh, okay.
and he sticks his tongue out.
Oh, I see. Got it.
And then he lets go of your wrist. Now that all things are understood, we're all on the same wavelength.
Yeah. So she will tap the tongue as requested.
Immediately, like his mouth is just like yelp, and like
Okay.
takes your finger into his mouth,
Okay. All right.
and then
Okay.
pulls back, and the flesh of your finger is gone, and the bone of your finger is key shaped.
Oh well, I've never seen a skeleton key like that before.
See,
Okay.
I thought it was funny. I remember
It's-
now.
I get it. She's just gonna unlock this box before she has a chance to think too much about it.
It'll
Very
go
funny
back,
joke.
Probably. Don't worry.
Okay. Right.
And kind of holds the box out to you, and you place your skeleton key in and unlock it, and Loki pulls it back and is like, honestly, I'm not sure I remember what's inside, and like flips it around and like takes a peek, and just like a sort of like big smile begins to creep over his mouth as he takes the contents out from inside and presents them to you.
Oh, it's a deck of many things! Of course
And-
it is!
That's where we're going to stop for today.
Hell yeah, buds! We got it!
Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. We love telling you a story. If you want to see more of that story, you can head over to youtube.com/thedicecult and watch other shenanigans we are up to, like Gossamer Vale, run by
Mhm.
Katie. That's some Celtic mythology. We're really early on in the session, so easy to catch up or get into. Not in the 200 area. We're not
Nowhere
even in the double
close.
digits.
not
But
yet.
that's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard every other Thursday. So not this approaching Thursday,
Mm-mm.
but the next Thursday. So you could join us here on Twitch for that.
Yeah. Watch
Um,
Critical Role or something else this next Thursday, and then us the Thursday after that.
You know, who knows what they're up to? Enjoy
I don't
something
know. I
on
think their
Thursday.
season ended, but there's probably
Yeah, I
something
think it's
happening.
over. But hey, have fun. Go for a walk. Touch
Yeah,
grass. I don't know.
go touch grass. Take some fresh air,
Take a
like
lap.
Loki said.
It's good for Lucky, it's good for you. And that's
Yeah.
what we all strive for. Don't be the marrow of
Amen.
your own bones.
Yeah.
If you want to keep up with us, we are at Backs of Gods on socials, mostly Instagram. You can go see a picture of Goose if you're so inclined.
Goose.
And we are at the Dice Cult across the socials if you'd like to keep up with the team in general. If you want some dice that do dice things, like tell a story or make you not roll super great in a library, but you get to learn about Smoke Up Butt. You could go to the link in the chat or the box below and learn a thing or two about having some beautiful dice that do beautiful storytelling. Um, Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. We love telling you guys a story, and we'll be here same time, same place, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, cultists.